Welcome to the Princeton Adult School presentation. I'll introduce myself more formally in a moment, but my name is David Schuckman. And so we'll be talking about using technology to grow your business. And specifically, a lot of this is social media strategy, not all of it, but a lot of it is. There's a lot of information here. It's a fairly robust program. And this is really meant to introduce you to a lot of these concepts, to some of the sites that are available, but we're not going to deep dive into the sites in great detail. I'm happy to answer any specific questions, but it's not trying to teach you how to use Facebook or teach you how to use LinkedIn or any of the others, but letting you know here are some of the sites that could be very beneficial to use in your small business. And then, of course, you can pursue those or the ones that you think are best. But so we really want to talk more about concepts than really hardcore how-to and instructions. So just wanted to kind of level set us there right away. But we'll have a lot of concepts. There are a couple of links that I do mention along the way in the PDF version of the presentation, which I'll give you a link to that by the end. In the PDF version, all of the links are live and active. So if you download the presentation, you can click on those links and follow them on your own. Anywhere along the way, if you've got a question, if you need a little bit of clarity, like I said, just quickly unmute yourself and let you, the digital equivalent of raising your hand, and just please ask your question away, no problem at all. So I'll just quickly introduce myself, kind of why am I here. So my name is David Schuckman. And by day, I'm an information technology consultant. My company is Princeton Technology Advisors. I'm based in Princeton, or I call myself based in the Princeton area. And my professional career was always in information technology. First half as a programmer. The second half, I got into more team, project and department management. And after 30 years in a few companies and 2 layoffs, I started my own independent consulting business. And so these are some of the things that I do or I facilitate professionally, do help our clients with websites. And actually what I've been getting busier with, helping clients not just create a website, but manage their website. They've lost track of their old web developer and they just need someone to help facilitate some changes. I'm happy to help that way. If there are any technology projects to run, I'm happy to help them with that. Search engine marketing, email marketing, we'll be talking more about that in the presentation as well. So kind of a full service. So my clients tend to be small business and not-for-profit organizations. So, clients and organizations that typically don't have a large IT department of their own, if they have one. And I'm also a blogger. Actually, I've been a little lazy, haven't blogged in a little while, but I've got over 100 blog posts, which is also accessible on my website and this web address, which is the blog address, but they lead to the same place. So that's me. That's kind of why I'm here this evening. So why is online presence so important for your business? People are searching for products and information online all the time. And you know this to be true because you're doing it yourself, and so am I. When we need information, when we're looking for somebody, when we're looking for something, we're usually doing some sort of online search. Usually we start at maybe Google or Bing or Yahoo or any of those search engine websites. But people are searching all the time. So online presence really gives you and your brand, how people know about you, what they know about you, gives it credibility. And so that is what really becomes important. Being online is almost like a reference, a little bit, electronic reference. You, through your own offerings and your own presence and what you post, you really demonstrate your own professional knowledge, your own professional expertise, your professional values, things that are really important to you, and hopefully what you're trying to click and get recognition by the people that are searching for and finding you. It also validates your business when referred. So hopefully for you, I know for me, you are getting references. Someone may say, oh, do you know someone who's an IT person? And they may refer me, and that's very nice. And then they'll look for me, and they'll find me online. So your online presence, certainly your website and others, and we're going to talk more about these, are kind of like your digital business card. And so it becomes a bit of a validation of your business because you get to talk about the things that you do professionally. And basically, if you are not yet known, even if you're referred to, but people don't know you yet, this is where they begin to find out more about you. So it is very important to begin to develop an online presence and strengthen it over time. Also, there's no yellow pages anymore. So don't know how old you gentlemen are. I'm of the age where I certainly remember yellow pages. And actually, technically, Verizon still puts out a B2B yellow pages, and there's a yellow book also. But they're not nearly as robust as they used to be. And so it's really just harder to rely and less of an opportunity to rely on yellow pages. And so really, if your business is not found online, it's functionally irrelevant. I'm not trying to say that the services that you offer and the quality of the work and your dedication to your clients is at all irrelevant. But if someone is searching for someone like you of your business and you don't come up, you're functionally irrelevant because they don't know about you. And so you do need to develop an online presence so that you can begin to be more relevant in search results. And again, we'll be talking about Google searches and such through this program. So certainly there are means for promoting yourself online and reasons for doing it. First of all, you want to let clients find out more about you, the things that are important to you as a business owner, the values that you have in your business, maybe even give them a little bit of a reason of why they may want to learn more about you or even contact you. So you really want your clients to find out more about you. And again, since people are searching online, you're hopeful that one place they become at least introduced to you is online. And remember, you're creating the information that you want to promote. Sometimes when people hear about being online, they get a little fearful, a little concerned. They don't want to be online because they don't want private information to be out there. And if you think about it, whatever your online efforts are going to be, whatever websites you're going to be, you're not giving away personal and private information. It's just not the nature of what you're going to do. Some of your personal and private information may be out there because others are looking for it or hackers are finding it or whatever is outside of your control. So remember, you're creating the information that you want to promote. We'll be talking more about that later as well. And you're going to control the message. You only share what you want. You're not going to share your social security number, your credit card number, or your medical records or anything like that. You may not even be sharing a client list if that's private. In my case, I do share a client list on my website because I think that's part of promoting myself. But it's because I'm putting it there, not because people are finding it out on their own. You get to demonstrate by the information you place and promote online what's really important to you and your business and your value proposition that you're offering. And so you also get to show how much of an expert you are in your field. And so hopefully you've been doing what you've been doing for a number of years. You've developed an expertise. You might even have a very tight niche market that you're focusing towards. And you get to demonstrate not only that you are competing in that market, but you get to demonstrate why and how come you're that expert in that field. And if there's any negative stuff out there, you can actually neutralize it and minimize it quite dramatically. And so I don't know if there's any negative stuff about either of you. I don't believe there's anything significant that I found about me, but sometimes when there's negative stuff out there, because of how much positive you're putting out there, you can neutralize the negative stuff. And as an example, think about if you decided to go car shopping. And if you were car shopping today, might you consider shopping for a Toyota? I'm not saying is that the one you'll select, but might you consider the brand Toyota if you were shopping for a car today? Or might you consider the brand of Honda? And I realize a lot goes into a consideration of which brands that you want to shop for. But a lot of people will say that yes, they would consider Toyota, and yes, they would consider looking at Honda because they believe they're very strong brands. But think about this. It wasn't too long ago that these brands both had a lot of bad news, a lot of bad press. Toyota Camry, a couple of model years, and Corolla had a stuck gas pedal. And there were some accidents due to that. And that made the news. Also, Honda had an airbag recall. And actually, it turned out it wasn't just Honda, lots of cars, but Honda hit the news much stronger than other brands, mainly because there are so many Hondas out there. And so these were big news items on all the major news outlets, not just any one particular. And the stories were some of them quite horrific. And so I'd say, why would you consider any of these car companies? Well, the reason why is they successfully controlled the message. Both Toyota and Honda took accountability for what was happening. In Honda, they explained, it's not our airbag. It's another company called Takata. But what we will do is we will replace your airbag if your airbag is one of those that has the potential to cause a compromise. And Honda really just took charge of this. They took this issue and went ahead with it. And I know my wife, we have a Honda Accord, her car, and Honda did replace her airbag a number of years ago for free. It was a free service. And Toyota came out and they determined it wasn't a problem at all with the gas pedal sticking. It was a problem with the floor mat sliding forward, and it could hold the gas pedal down. And so they had to come up with a design to manage the floor mats much better. So I don't remember if it was that they held them down better or that they had newer floor mats that didn't extend as far. But they realized it was something within one of their parts, the floor mat. So it really wasn't the gas pedal getting stuck, but unfortunately the floor mat was pressing against the gas pedal. And they came out and they also, in some cases, they added extra maintenance and support and gave customers a reason to come back and trust them a little bit more. And you and I, we can do the same thing if you have any negative press that's out there. And a negative press can be kind of minor. Maybe it could be a Google review. And you might be a little frustrated if someone wrote a less than 5-star Google review. Well, you can actually respond to the Google review and take charge of it, take that by its horns. So you're able to control the message. So social media, let's talk about what it is. And I had read this description a while ago, and I really thought it was perfect, and I'll just read it. The collective of online communication channels dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. So of the different social media definitions I found, this is my favorite. Collective of online communication channels, dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. I really like what this stands for. The challenge with this is it's a little complicated to read, especially if you're new to social media. So I kind of scratched my head for a while and I came up with this. You're using the internet to share information with others. So that kind of boils down my favorite definition of social media. This is what you're doing. You're going to use the internet. You're going to be online to share information with other people. And it doesn't really matter which platform you use, except that you do need to use a platform that's appropriate for your audience. And we're going to talk more about that. But all the platforms become the same. And as for communication channels, that's really the different places, the different types of social media that you can use. This diagram is called spoke and hub. And if you think of a bicycle wheel or even a wheel on your car, the hub is the center. And on a bicycle, certainly you have spokes, the metal spokes that go out to the rim. And so I like this as a kind of a description of how you may want to create a strategy for using social media. Your website is a communication channel. It's a means for communicating with people who want to learn more about you. And this is, I didn't invent this particular form of the diagram. It's one that I subscribe to that I like. But basically, your hub of your social media strategy is going to be your website. And the spokes are the ways to get to other social media channels. And it could be that you're using email marketing, or you're using social media, or you're using some sort of mobile communication, or using pay-per-click, or using affiliate marketing or search engine optimization. Any one of these other channels, they tend to be a little bit narrow in focus because a lot of times the sites are specific, or you might have a post on a site, but your website is talking about everything about you. It's an opportunity to present all your different services, all your different products, your approach to doing work. how you work with clients, your customer service, whatever is important. Any one of these other smaller channels can do that over time, but it's not necessarily one place where you have that. So what the spokes are showing is you go back and forth. Your social media brings you back to your website, then your website might go to email marketing, but your signature and email marketing brings you back to your website. Your website is the hub of your social media strategy. And so I like this spoken hub diagram, and I think it's a good model for moving forward using social media as part of your strategy. We'll talk about a lot of these different communication channels, and we'll start with a website. So hopefully both of you do have some form of a professional website for your business. You may also have a personal website. I actually used to have a personal website, davidschuckman.com. I decided for professional reasons, once I started my business, I shut down that separate website, and davidschuckman.com just redirects to my Princeton Tech advisors. But I was a fan of also, when I was job hunting and working professionally for organizations, putting a personal/professional website that talked about me rather than my business. So it is important to have a personal website. It's important for promoting your brand. When people want to begin to find out about you and the message that you're going to promote, it's on your website that they'll find the most robust set of information, rather than any individual post on another website or another social media website might not be as robust. You get to talk about really everything about you. It also easily lets you be found online. If you think about a Google or a Bing search, you put in at the search field some word or phrase to search for something, and a list comes back. And what is it? It's a list of websites. So it could be, Facebook, LinkedIn, Etsy, wherever you are, and it could also be your business and professional, website. Websites are also more robust than your business card or just about any kind of content. So certainly I'm a fan of going to online events or meetup groups or professional organizations, meet and greets and such. We like to hand out our business card or maybe even some professional documentation that we have. But you can only put so much information without making these things an eye chart. Your website is much more robust. You can put different documents, different downloads and pictures. And if you have a lot of content, you can organize it in a hierarchical fashion with different web pages. So you might have, a menu at top with some web pages, but then each page, when someone goes to it, might have links to more details, and you get more information that you can provide. So a lot more information. And the same with any kind of marketing documents or brochures that you may have that you'd like to hand out. Your business card, your marketing documents, they are static, but your website is not. As soon as you have a new product or a new service that you're offering, you put it on your website, it's there. But someone who got a marketing document from you yesterday just won't otherwise know about it from the marketing document. So your website is certainly much more dynamic and flexible than any other printed or hard documents you can produce. And you want to promote your website content. You want people to begin to know about it, begin to find you. First of all, in a Google search, the search engine, we'll talk more about that a little later. Google likes when there's activity on your website. Google likes when you talk about yourself. And the reason why is it helps Google better understand what your website is all about when it can find other information outside your website about you, or as your website gets updated. Google says, oh, this is an active, updated website. So I'll think of this one as a bit more relevant to a search term than one that's static. So you certainly want to promote your content. You want to deliver information that really helps your audience understand how to make a buying decision. So the information that you're providing needs to be effective to help your buying audience make a decision. And you have to decide what that information is and what your audience is. We'll be talking more about both of those in a moment. But you want to make that information, you want to make it easy for your audience to understand the service that you're selling or the products that you're selling. You also want to tell a story. And I don't mean write a novel, and you're certainly welcome to do that if that's important to you. But the content, the theme, the broad meaning of the information from web page to web page must be all about the same thing. It can't be different information on different web pages, and that really is different from your business. Now, certainly you may have a contact us page, you may have an about us page, you might have a services page. There's certain levels of differences among those pages, but it really has to support and talk about your specific business. One gentleman that I met early on when I was starting my own business, a fellow who had a similar business to me, a tech business, helping small business. He gave me his business card, and I looked up his website. And his website had different types of information. He had a section on the website that talked about his information technology services. That's how I knew him. He had another section on his website talking about green initiatives and how he was interested in green initiatives. And he had another section on the website that talked about some of the readings and things that he was just interested in, almost like a personal website. And I would bump into him from time to time. And so we were at a conference or a meetup group, don't remember exactly where, and I saw him and I said, I think your website is a little confusing, because from a Google search, the website talks about these 3 different things. It's confusing to Google. And he said, nope, he didn't think so. He wants his audience to know all about him. And I said, well, I get that. But I think it's a little confusing. Or what about the audience that wants to know about green initiative? They've got to navigate through or around the other 2 pieces of business. My suggestion to him, which he understood, have 3 websites, each talking about the 3 different things, really so your clients and your audience that know that only are interested in one part of your professionalism or personal life only see that piece and aren't potentially distracted by something else. And more importantly, the Google search engine and Bing and the others don't get confused. What does this website really mean? So the story, the meaning should be common across all your pages. And you really have to provide information that just doesn't talk about you, but really helps your audience, because it's really about them. It's helping them make a decision. It's helping them understand how you can help them. So the information that you're providing on your website needs to be helpful to your audience. And you also promote your content through social media. And I think you do that for free. I don't think you should be, in my opinion, charging for using a blog or trying to monetize your blog or monetize your social media, when it's meant to really augment and support and validate your business. If your business was the monetizing of your blog, that would be different. But for a lot of us, we have some level of business. So I've written over 100 blog posts. I'm not charging people to try and read them. I'm not trying to sell advertising through them. I'm not trying to make it inconvenient or annoying. I just want my audience to read tech articles, and what I write is non-tech topics, but in a non-technical way. I just want them to understand the things that I offer and the services and the news of the day. And it augments and supports my business. I think that's the best way to use social media and your website content. You also want to make sure that your website very easily works on mobile devices. So if you think about it, if you're watching now on a laptop screen or a desktop screen, it's probably a wide screen and a little bit narrower. But if you think about a tablet's kind of square, squeezes down a little bit. And a phone becomes narrow but tall. So of course, here's my cell phone, just as a reminder for you of what a cell phone. And so you want your content, your website, to automatically adjust its screen presentation to the type of device that it's on. And that's exactly what responsive web design means. So if you open up your own website on your phone and it just looks like an eye chart, a mini version of your website, it's not a responsive design. And you may want to consider updating your website. The content, the website automatically figures out what type of device it's on and will resize the images and the content to fit. So if you have a wide screen with maybe a few images side by side, as you squeeze it down, it'll elongate itself automatically. And so maybe 3 or 4 images across might become vertical. And the content, instead of being very wide paragraphs, might be narrower paragraphs in a slightly bigger fonts, easy to read. So it adjusts automatically. And for those of us that do web programming, it's nice and easy for us. This is nothing hard for us. We don't charge extra for it. If you have a web designer who wants to charge you extra, I think that's wrong, because we build websites on themes that are already built for us, and they're almost all responsive nowadays. And besides, millennials are not using desktop and laptop computers. The younger the person, the more they're using mobile devices. And so if you want to reach an audience that are going to be younger, probably the under 35 group in age, you need to be easily providing the information on a platform that they're going to easily be able to read it. And that's going to be in a mobile platform. And let's talk about SEO. We're going to talk more about that in depth a little bit. But as you build your website, you certainly want to be aware that a lot of people do search locally. And so unless your business is very much a very large region or national business, you're going to want to put content on your website that lets people know kind of where you operate. So more than 20% of Google searches are local. So here's an example: boat supplies, Mercer County versus boat supplies. And if you think about, even if you started typing boat supplies, Google gives you more options. It might say boat supplies near me or boat supplies in Princeton. So Google knows that local searches are very relevant, because most of us, unless we have a certain type of business, we're promoting ourselves to a fairly small region or local audience. So you want to optimize the written and printed content in your social media and on your website for local search. So include contact information, your local information and contact information. Now, I don't mean by contact, put your name and address on every page, but depending on the nature of your business, you might put something like on your About page, we are a Princeton, New Jersey or Central New Jersey based business. And if you're offering services, you might say, among the services that we offer are Princeton-based residents or New Jersey residents are, or New Jersey clients are. So you kind of find creative ways to kind of put these words. You only need to put them on each page once or twice. Don't word stuff. But Google will understand, oh, this website represents locally New Jersey. You can use a geography a little smaller, like a county or central New Jersey, or even a town, whatever makes sense. And even if you put just a town, Google's going to figure out the geography near that town, so don't worry too much about it. So use local search terms and keywords. You may also want to put like a Google map for directions, assuming you have a business that people may want to come to your office. I have a business where I have never had a client come to my office, but I have a mailing address. And my mailing address actually happens to be a UPS store on Nassau Street in Princeton. And so I have the Google map pointing to that. And so it enforces to Google and to Bing and Yahoo that I'm a Princeton-based business. And you may also look at some of these types of websites like Yelp.com or Angie's List or any local.com, any of these that may be industry specific or location specific, and also put your location in there too, because when people search on these platforms, they're also searching for near themselves. Google My Business. This is very powerful and it's free. Google My Business is a free service that Google offers. All you need is a Google account, whether it's a Gmail account or one of the Google at Work or Google Workspace types of accounts. And those workspace and business accounts, the accounts are free, but some of the services may have fees associated with them, but they're not terribly expensive. But basically, what it does is it creates this kind of search pane about your business, and that's mine. And so what I have there are my hours of operation and my mailing address. I have some photos, things like that. And I set this up for free. And if you see on the little picture of the map, that's part of it, 174 Nassau Street, it shows up on Google Maps. So Google really likes that you use Google Maps or Google My Business to help you be found. Your business pops up when someone searches for you with search results, comes up in the search results, comes right up on the side. And it also promotes your local business, getting local people to find you, because it comes up in local Google searches and maps. And in there, you can also add your contact information, your website link, your hours of operation, pictures, all sorts of information. This is also where people can leave and write reviews, Google reviews about you. And so you're going to want that. That becomes helpful as well. And it also improves search engine optimization on Google. Google likes the fact that you have a Google My Business page, and they'll really like when you start getting some activity. And they'll also be able to report that activity back to you. So here's, from my page at this time, and I printed this one months ago, 63 people saw my business on a Google search. 32 saw mine on Google Maps. Someone asked for directions. That's fine. So directions aren't really important to me, but some businesses it is. So it becomes important, and you can track this analytical information also. Oh, our intermission time. So I have a couple of these intermissions planned in case you've been just too polite and not wanting to interrupt, but here's an opportunity. Any questions, gentlemen, what we talked about so far, or wondering what may be coming up?
As you go into, you had mentioned that you blog quite a bit. So as you're doing your blog and you're kind of discussing content, do you also utilize your location? Is it like, oh, I do this in reference to where you're at? The service, I provide service. So a lot of my blogs are just about content and service-based things that can be helpful overall. And then, of course, hilarious, quirky commentary on daily activities, right? But I haven't necessarily focused that on my area specifically. So is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, I think that you can. I haven't done that a lot in my blogs, but what I've done it in my blog, where I have done it, my blog allows me to kind of behind the scenes put my geography. And so I punch in the Princeton zip code, 08542. And so it's kind of hidden behind the scenes, and Google will read what's hidden on your website, even if you and I can't read that. So because my topics are a bit broad, I don't word stuff it that way. But behind the scenes in some of the search engine optimization parts of the blog, I do. So you may be able to do that with like tags and labels. If your blog system does allow for you to post the geography, and Google will find those and understand, even if you're not saying that to your readers. But there may be times you want to let your readers know, depending on the message, and say, for clients in the greater Princeton area or whatever, we are the premier in this service offering. Yep. If you don't mind my asking, Michael, what is it? What type of business do you have, or what is it you do professionally?
Health and wellness. I'm a life coach, health and wellness coach. Oh. I work with individuals. My youngest is 12, right? But and I go in between 12 to 34. Primarily about 18 to 26, just kind of whether or not it's substance abuse, whether or not it's mental health concerns, or it's just somebody understands that they're looking to get more out of what they're doing. So there's a lot of things in relation to behavior change, which is really kind of important. Understanding emotional concerns that may be limiting your beliefs and things of that nature. Whatever it is that's going to help people get out of their own way and attain the success that they're actually capable of. So that's
very interesting. It just coincidentally, I have a couple of clients that are life coaches. They focus a little differently than when you've mentioned. One of my not-for-profit clients in Trenton is Mill Hill Child and Family Development. So they are attending to families, people up to about the age of 18. So I've gotten to learn a little bit about kind of the audience that you would be interested in reaching. So
Yeah.
very interesting.
No, it's great. I really enjoy it. And the other component was I haven't changed when you had mentioned that Google likes to see active website movement, right? This website activity. I haven't changed a lot of things on my website in particular. What I do is my blog is linked to my website, right?
Sure.
So you go on the website and the top. Okay. So if when I write a blog, say I do one a week, something, try to stay on that. Does Google recognize that as a change in my website?
Yes. My question to you is the blog a page on your website? Is it the same domain? Or
Yes.
is it then Google will see it very clearly under the same domain. So Google sees things a couple of ways. One is what's been changed on this domain, and doing a blog post periodically. And one of my life coach clients, she posts 5 times a week, and then others less so, monthly kind of thing. Yeah, Google likes that. The other would be, do you have another web address that's for your blog? And do you have links from one site to the other? They cross-link, and Google will see that as well.
Okay, yeah, I don't have that another web address. Just social media activity, Facebook and LinkedIn, stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah. So on your Facebook profile, LinkedIn, and such, put your business web address as one of your pieces of information. On your website, put your social media links. Google will pick up those cross links.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
But being that it's right on your blog, that it's on your domain, that's very powerful. And if periodically you update a little bit of content, that'll be helpful as well.
All right, we'll do.
Yep. Any other questions, gentlemen, before we move on? Okay. Well, I'll assume quiet is okay to move forward. I remember the days when movie theaters sometimes had an intermission. Good. So let's talk about your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is the #1 B2B, B2B website, business to business website. We'll talk about Facebook in a moment. Again, we're not going to talk about how to use LinkedIn and where to put things. If you have a specific question and if I can answer it, I'm happy to. But LinkedIn is, not the kind of website like Facebook where people are sharing lots of pictures and lots of stories with each other. There are very few places to put pictures and very few places to put articles and whatnot, although you can post, certainly, discussions. LinkedIn, by the end of last year, promoted it as 740 million users. And it's also a very popular website used by job recruiters. There are about 200 million recruiters, internal and external recruiters that use LinkedIn. But it is a place for you. You can build a business page. So if you don't yet have a business page in addition to your profile, you will want to have a business page. A business page would be if on your professional profile, in your experience section, you have a section that is cut out for your company. You can have the name of your company, or you can have a page about your company. And I think it'd be much more powerful to have a page about your company. So when they click on the company, it goes to your page there. And you can post content on the business page as well as on your individual discussion for your individual profile. It is used by business professionals. They look for people in different roles and different keywords. They do searches. You can research prospective clients. You can gather information because you're going to create a targeted presentation. If the nature of your business is to meet a client and have some sort of information for them to introduce them, you do a little bit of research up front, and then you could target your presentation to them. It's certainly not limiting in size and content as any document that you can produce, because LinkedIn, the more you write, kind of the longer your page gets. And you can put lots of posts in different groups, and you can join groups and begins to tell information to LinkedIn about you as well. A lot of information that's there, and it's free. There are paid profiles and paid accounts. I don't know that there's a lot of value to them. I've used them before and then stopped because I found that it wasn't as valuable for me. So I would say try using LinkedIn first for free. If you want to upgrade to one of the paid profiles, I usually get 30 days for free. Try it for 30 days for free. See if you'll get more value. You do get more LinkedIn email. They call them in-mail. You also can see a greater list of people that have been looking at your profile. When you have the free account, usually you can only see a few people, and they only over a couple of days. So if you're getting a lot of people looking at your profile and then you want to respond to them, an easy way to find that information is get one of the business profiles. Let's say spend $25, $30 a month. And if you're going to use it to reach out to those people and contact those people and pitch to those people, if you can earn business and make more than the $25, $30 a month, it's well worth the investment. Facebook. Facebook is the largest social media site on the planet. Just that simple. At the end of last year, they said they had 2.8 billion users. That's more than a quarter of the planet where Facebook had Facebook accounts. It is the #1 business to consumer B2C website that's out there. And I'll be showing you differences between B2C sites and B2B sites in a few minutes. But Facebook is the #1. So if your client base is going to be more consumer oriented, and a lot of businesses are on Facebook, but it's because they're marketing to a consumer-based audience, you may want to have a Facebook page and begin to publish and promote on Facebook. Business professionals share some information about their business. They like to inform their clients about specials, things that are going on, things that are important to them. And any social media site, of course, you'll want to steer traffic to your website. Remember that spoken hub diagram. Your website is in the hub in the middle. Facebook is off connected by one of the spokes. And so you'll want to do that as well. If you are using it for business, be careful of who you friend and how you use it personally. So you may want to, for instance, not use Facebook to connect your family, especially if you have young family at home, or if you have family or friends that like to post what they're doing, and it may not be business oriented. One friend of mine had told me a story. He unfriended his niece, who, he was very fond of his niece, but she was an older teen, and she would go on vacation or spring breaks or whatever and post pictures of her and her friends at the beach holding drinks with a sunset behind them at the beach. Nothing wrong with what they were doing, but he was afraid some people would be wondering, is he hanging out with young girls drinking? And my friend is in his 70s and shouldn't be hanging around with young girls except for family functions. So he defriended his niece. So do be careful of how you friend and use Facebook personally. Do manage your security appropriately so your business contacts don't overlap your friends' contact. Yes, you can use technically a second profile, but if you have two profiles with your profile picture, one audience or the other may be confused about who they should connect with. And you just want to make it, especially with business, very easy for your audience to connect with you and not try and wonder who they should connect with. Twitter. Twitter, you write it as all you want, of course, within 280 characters. So it does limit you to how much you can actually type or post in any particular post or article that you write. Some people call it microblogging because you can write a lot of about a lot of stuff. You can reach a lot of people, but you're writing very little bit of content. They actually post their user base differently. They don't boast how many users they have. They boast how many people use it daily. So they have, at the end of the last year, 192 million people were using it daily. They had over 300 million accounts, but 192 were using it daily. You let your followers know about articles of interest and things that are going on for your business. Let them know about some important event, maybe some recent accomplishments, something else that's topical about your business. You can't really write a whole lot about it because you have 280 characters, but you could say, I'll be presenting at this local event. Here's a link to the event, or here's a link to my website where you can sign up. So you really have to be a bit more efficient when you're writing in Twitter. And if you're really not sure about Twitter's effectiveness, a lot of people try and steer away from Twitter. I don't think you should steer away from it. Just ask the former president of the United States. I'm not making a political discussion, but President Trump did use Twitter very effective for him to reach his audience. I'm not going to discuss the content because that's not what I want to get into a discussion about, but he was very effective using it. So you can be very effective in reaching your audience with the messaging that you want to get across. It can be an extremely effective tool, so consider using Twitter. There are a bunch of other platforms that are out there, and there's thousands of them clearly, so we can't talk about all of them, but I want you to start thinking about that there are others that are out there. Meetup.com. If you are not on Meetup.com, you should be. It is not the world's largest dating website. That's not what Meetup.com is. What it really is, it's an electronic means to be introduced to other groups. And they initially started out to a means of alerting you to other in-person local groups. Clearly, a lot of groups over the past year and a half have not been meeting in person. They've been virtual. You create a profile on Meetup.com. It is completely free. As a matter of fact, there's not a paid model for the individual like you and me. People that create groups, they pay for it. So if you're not creating a group, you're not paying for it. If you, for your business, want to host a group and draw in an audience that way, it's $15 a month starting, so not terribly expensive. And you can host these virtual meetings or in-person meetings. You create a profile, there's places to put keywords, talk about you, your business, you professionally. So put in those keywords. You don't have to talk about anything that's personal and private, but certainly professionally you want to. And then what happens is Meetup runs night and day, and it matches up business profiles, group profiles with individual profiles, and will send those individuals a meeting. So there may be a Meetup group, let's say for Michael, if you're a professional coach or therapist in that kind of family therapy or family coaching, it might say there's a family Meetup group or dad's only Meetup group, and they meet on Tuesday and they're going to be in Trenton. It'll tell you about it, so it alerts you. You decide if that's a group worthy of going or your time. You decide if you want to sign up for the group or join it or not. There's no fees for joining, but it gets you connected. YouTube is actually owned by Google, and it is the #1 site for mobile video sharing. I have a YouTube channel tied to my business, and anytime, like for tonight, that we have a presentation that I do or a class, not all my presentations are class oriented, sometimes they're just topical, I post them on my YouTube channel so that others can find me. I put links on my website, not only to my YouTube channel, but to the individual videos. And actually in the place where I will be posting this presentation, I'll also post the link for the video directly for this if you want to come back to it. Instagram has over 1 billion users. It's a Facebook company now, and it's for mobile and video sharing and mobile photo and video sharing. If you're going to have a business that's going to be video oriented, mobile oriented, or if you want to create little infomercials, Instagram is a great place to be able to promote that content as well. So you may, instead of blogging, have these little video blogs, and you can post those on YouTube or on Instagram. 2 or 3 minute little infomercials could be perfect for that. And there are also industry-oriented websites. You're going to have to find those on your own, or work with someone who can help you do that. But you'll have to find if there are websites that really make sense for you to be on. Now, in terms of what's the best platform to be on, the most effective B2B platforms are listed here. LinkedIn, and this is by what's called Content Marketing Institute. Every 2 or 3 years, they do put out an update. Here's the one from last year. And so LinkedIn is by far the #1 B2B website. So if you're going to be marketing mostly to business clients, certainly be on LinkedIn. Then Twitter and Facebook are behind that, so certainly be on those. I'm surprised that YouTube and Instagram are potentially this low. I don't remember what they were in prior years, but I have to believe video is just more and more used and effective. And then on the side, if you're curious, what about Pinterest or Reddit or Snapchat or others? They have, not really used as much by B2B marketers. If you're B2C, it changes a little bit. Facebook, way up there. Instagram and video for YouTube, way up there. LinkedIn drops significantly. So if you're going to be more of a B2C type of business, you can use those. And then again, you can see some of the other popular platforms on the right. Pinterest, 29, 30%. Snapchat goes up to 10%. And it could be, it's based on the nature of the audience that's using those applications. Wouldn't surprise me if TikTok begins to go up over the next couple of years. It's getting a lot of attention. And by the way, if you want to read the full article, you can see at the bottom, there's a link. So when you go to download this presentation, that's a live link. You can see there's a little hand. You can click on it and open the link. And if you want to read the whole thing, you're welcome to do so. Blogging. So, we talked about that just a few moments ago. It's a web page or it's a web site that's separate, but more and more people are putting the blog as a page on their own website, and it allows you to write these articles that are called posts. So that's what blogging is about. The posts provide your readers really a few short paragraphs, 500, 600, 700 words. I actually recently began looking at the counts of a few of my older ones. I belong to a chamber of commerce and volunteered to share some of my blog posts for their blog. And they said they wanted, up to 600 words, and some of mine was 700, 800, 900 words. Okay, a little longer. I think that really what's important, the type of information you're going to write is your opinion on something, not something new. If you invent something, if you come up with a new strategy, if you're coming up with something that has the potential to earn you direct revenue, I don't know that that belongs on a blog post. I think you may want to look at some sort of professional article instead, or journal instead. But what's your opinion on the way to manage child development issues? Going back to Michael, and I'm sorry if I'm not exactly expressing your business, but you might talk about there are 3 basic strategies, and here's the one you subscribe to. That might be something like that. That may be an option for that. So, and Carl had mentioned being an attorney. So you may talk about something specific to the way attorneys work, or fee structures, or working with clients and things like that. Oops, come on. There we go. And you want to engage your readers. You want them to understand more about you. You want them to get interested in you. And I'm of the opinion you should leave your comment section activated so people can write comments. Most blogs will have a notification process to let you know when a comment is posted. Turn that on. The reason why is you want to know when someone puts a comment, just in case someone puts something very inappropriate, you'll have the opportunity to see it quickly and take it down. Another option is, because comments have different features, you may want to pre-screen your comments before you publish it. So if someone writes something, sex, and that's not what your site is about, you just ignore it or delete it, and it just has to be managed by you before you agree to post it. So just let them write comments. So I think it becomes important, but it definitely helps you develop and grow your brand and really promote your professional brand, gets people know more about you. Email marketing, newsletters can be very powerful for promoting your message, for getting your message out. So basically you're sending a message to a group of people using email. Now, email marketing, different than posting on blogs. Email is called outbound marketing. And the reason why, you're sending a message to somebody, or at least to them through their email account. What you're writing on your website, what you're writing on your blog site is called inbound marketing. They have to find you. But with email, you already have a list of clients and prospective emails. So you're sending the message to them to be found. And you can promote your products or your services, things that are important to you. You certainly can provide information to others. It could be informational, how-tos, why-tos, best practices, things like that. It's always used to enhance a relationship with your current or previous contacts, because maybe they forgot about you, but now they got a message and they remembered you. So you're keeping you in the back of their minds. And it could also encourage customer loyalty. It could increase business. Send them a special. Sign up now for our mailing list and get $50 consult for free, or something like that. Engage them, keep them active, give them some way to be active and interactive with your business. So you can send them that. I know for me, one of the companies that I'm very loyal to professionally, or personally, I should say, is CVS. The reason why is I'm on their emailing list and they send me coupons all the time. I have nothing against Walgreens or Rite Aid or any of the other pharmacy companies. I do shop them occasionally, but CVS is keeping me brand loyal by sending me coupons. I don't get nearly as many from the other companies. So you may want to use email to keep your clients a bit more brand loyal. And your clients, virtually we call them your audience. And so who is your audience? And your audience is basically whoever you want to reach out to, whoever you want to connect with on social media. That's your audience. And for different people, for different businesses, each of your audiences are going to be a little bit different. You need to understand your audience. You need to understand what's important to them and how they like to communicate in order to effectively communicate with your audience. And so that becomes very important. I cannot tell you how to do that because I don't know your audience. It's important for you to understand your audience. If your audience tends to be kind of retail based or consumer based, you're going to use more layperson terms. And that's not to say they're not business people, but they're not in your business. So you may have to use terms that are more layperson terms, because if you start using your industry terms, you may not connect with them. They may not understand them. You may lose them a little bit. They may lose interest. But if you're writing to an audience or a group of people in your industry, so as an attorney, if you're writing to more attorneys, if that's who you're writing to, or if as a coach and mentor, you're writing to people within your industry, you can use those industry terms and acronyms and associations. So I tend to write to business people that are not tech savvy. So I tend to use layperson terms, and I try and keep away from acronyms unless there are acronyms that people would really know. So that's my audience, more like the retail audience. So you need to know. And so which online platform is best for you? And typically when I give a program like this or teach this class, people say, which is the best online program? And I have a friend of mine that answers a lot of questions with these two words: it depends. And that's really the only thing I can promise you. I can't tell you the best platform. You really cannot be on every platform. There are just too many. Now you could hire someone to be your social media content person, and they may spend that time for you. But you are also busy doing the day-to-day of your business. So you need to determine the platform or the site that it's most relevant to your audience. You need to understand, where does your audience hang out online? Where are they online? And so you might have to do Google searches and Bing searches to be able to find that. You may need to ask people that you're trying to reach, where do you like to hang out online, and see what they tell you. Maybe there are other people in your industry or do the same thing that you do. Ask them where they hang out, because you want to know where your competitors are. They may have done the legwork already. You actually want to be where your competitors are. And a lot of times when I give this presentation in class to an audience, they'll say, no, I want to stand out. I don't want to be where my competitors are. You want to be where your competitors are because your audience is looking there. I'll give you a couple of examples of how that's true. I'm not sure how often you go to a shopping mall lately because of COVID. Maybe you're just protecting yourself, but shopping malls have a food court. And when you go to the food court, all the restaurants are very close to each other. You go back 10, 15 years ago, the restaurants were not all together. They were away from each other. They were afraid of the competition. But what the restaurants figured out is when you show up at the food court, you may not have even figured out what you want until you see what's there. Or maybe you're going shopping with your family. You want pizza, the kids want hot dogs, the spouse wants something else, Chinese food. You go to one local area and you can buy all these things. So they figured out it's best to be all together. And think about the fast food restaurants. The fast food restaurants, if you go driving down some big road like Route 1, you might find McDonald's. What's near McDonald's? Or maybe next door or across the street might be Burger King or Wendy's or Pizza Hut or any of the others. The restaurants figured out that you haven't decided on which restaurant you want. Or maybe you tell the kids or the family, we're going out to eat, and they see something else that they want, and you'll go there. So you want to hang out where your competitors are. And so when your audience is shopping around and looking for people like you, you'll show up with them. Start with that one. Start with that first big one. And then see how it works. Experiment with it. See what content works. And see how many people are beginning to look at you, how much interaction you're getting. Are you getting clicks on your website? Are you getting clicks on your post? Are you getting clicks on your pages? And then you could try making some updates and some changes. Is that making things better, or is that making things work? What works, stick with it. Once you start getting good with using this one website, then find the next one. Then you can move on. So what to do next? Oh, just what I was saying. Pick that one tool. There are way too many out there to try and learn and use tools, too many tools at the same time. Pick one tool, start using that. Sign up and create an account. Most of these sites, if not all of them, have free accounts. Some have paid accounts also, but they're all free. Start for free. Start getting comfortable with the platform. If you need assistance, you can get a how-to platform assistance from webinars. Ask some people that you know, attend classes, find a consultant. Other people who've used this before can help you. Okay? And then get started with that one. Just get started with one. If not, it's like that joke, how do you eat a 1,000-pound elephant? One bite at a time. Sure, you'll never be able to eat a 1,000-pound elephant all at once. Social media is too overwhelming. It's like the 1,000-pound elephant. But one bite at a time, start with one website. Just start with one and get good with that. Oh, another intermission point. And I think we will have one more after this as well, plus plenty of time at the end. How you doing, gentlemen? Any questions at this point again? Any new questions?
No, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I appreciate the insight, and I also I used the 1,000-pound elephant today.
How so?
That's one of my favorites. Well, I mean, when you're talking to anybody and you're discussing behavior change, right? It's like it seems so daunting in the beginning of it. It's like, so how do you eat an elephant, right? It's like one bite at a time. So it's fun. I use that like one of my faves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you said it seems like you tend to work with a clientele. I'm not sure if they're called patients or customers, clients that are on average a little bit younger. One of the things pardon?
Oh, yes, I'm agreeing. Yeah.
And so one of the places I'm active, it's more of a volunteer, is to help job seekers, and they tend mostly to be older, the 50 plus crowd. When we turn 50, we get really rigid. It's hard to get 50-year-olds and older to think about this and attack one bite at a time. So at least you're working with hopefully a group of people that may be a little bit more open to learning and molding. So hopefully, like, oh yeah, 1,000-pound elephant, that makes sense.
Well, I think at certain times I've had to change references in having discussions about, say, negative thoughts. And I was like, well, you're making a poor decision or relapse. I'm like, you want to make sure that you play the tape out. And the people are like, what's a tape? I'm like, oh, that's right, my bad. Or fast forward or rewind. I'm like, wait a minute. I have to kind of change my lingo because. Do
you mean Betamax or VHS? How's that for?
That's right.
So yeah, and certainly you said you had a 12-year-old, so I'm sure the 12-year-old's world is nothing analog at all.
Not at all. Yeah, it's a different breed. So you really do. Your language matters. But that has been the difficulty of what brings me to this evening, is understanding the nature of social media. You know, it wasn't something, I'm kind of right on that cusp, right? So I'm 48. I went through my high school and college and we didn't have cell phones, right? And then it got to the point where it was more of a pain in the tail. And by the time I looked up and had one, everything had changed. Right?
Sure.
The universe changed. And so I'm not the posting guy. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not, you know, if I take pictures of my food, it's for me. It's not like, ooh, I'm here.
Yeah.
I just never really had that allure of posting my life. So even the concepts and
Sure.
understanding of how to interact with this world, it's very, very new. It's a foreign language. So
Yeah, I'm not hiding myself, but I don't need to share, you know, that I had a good piece of, you know, pie today for dessert or, you know, whatever. You know, a few people that I'll share my life with, not the world. That's me. But I like to talk about myself professionally because it has the opportunity to be introduced to people that I haven't met before for professional reasons. So I'll talk about, you know, how to be safe, you know, surfing the web, that kind of thing. So that's what I like to talk about.
yeah, I got you.
All right, let's move along a little bit, go on to the next slide if we can. So an acronym, SEO, search engine optimization. Let's talk about this. This is very important, certainly for your own website, but there are part of these techniques that you can use for your social media sites. And there's a lot of very forward, visible stuff that's on search engine optimization, and there's a lot of hidden stuff. And on your own website, you can easily do both. But on another platform, like your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page, the hidden stuff you really have a harder time doing because it's kind of the behind the scenes of the code. But anyway, we'll talk about that. But really what you want to do is you want to begin to figure out what are the keywords that people are using to find someone like you or find you specifically. And so you start looking at your competitors. You start looking at what search engines are talking about in the context of your type of business, not you directly, but your type of business. You want to see what others are writing about. Okay? Google has a tool, Google AdWords, and another one called Google Trends. They're both free to start with, but they do have paid subscriptions as well. But they'll begin to tell you, like if you put in a search term, and maybe for Michael, it might be life coach. It might come back and say, well, in the billions of searches we get life coach is number one, mentor is number two, personal coach is number three. You know, begin to see different terms and words, and you might want to put all of the top ones in your website content, in your social media posting content in appropriate places so that Google begins to find you and understand what you're about. So that's part of what that keyword analysis is. There we go. So let's talk a little bit about how search engines work, and then you'll begin to understand why you'll want to use some of these techniques. Now, actually, what you'll do is you'll put in a search word or a search term. There's usually a field. You know, Google and Bing and the others have a field, right, where you can put those individual or words or phrases. And what they don't do, the way the search engines don't work, they don't instantly search every website, web server, web page throughout the world and return thousands or millions of results in 1.5 seconds. These don't go out to the internet searching the websites. It's not what search engines do. They give the appearance that's what they do because they do return links to websites. What really happens is Google and the search engines, night and day, they're looking at every website and web page all the time. They're just going out looking. They have these programs. Some people call them spiders because they crawl the World Wide Web. Some people call them crawlers or web crawlers, bots, another name. And they're just dumb programs. And what they do is they just find websites. They find web pages. And they go, oh, here's some stuff. I'm going to send it back to Google. The Google bots send it back to Google. The Bing bots send it to Bing. You know, they write their own programs. They're just searching all day. They're dumb programs, and they're sending stuff back. And then we'll just pick on Google for now. Google then tries to collate and make sense of the, you know, gazillion pieces of information that's there, and it will begin to find and analyze trends and associate them with, in your case, you and your website. And so that when people start searching for terms and phrases that are relevant to your website and your professional presence, Google will say, among the content I'm going to serve up will be, you know, Carl's, will be Michael's. And so that's how the search engines work. So the results you get is information really from the search engine's database based on all their analysis and aggregation that they've done. That's the way search engines work. So what you want to do is you want to put content out on your website, your social media site, your posts, all wherever you're online. That's kind of that common theme, that common story that talks about you. And then Google and Bing will go, ah, this is similar to Michael, this is similar to Carl, or anybody else, you know, that it's looking at. So then what is SEO? What is search engine optimization? It's then the process of gaining that organic visibility in search engine results. And you ultimately want to drive traffic to your websites. And the reason why it's called organic is it's happening naturally. It's happening slowly. You're not paying for it. By putting this information out there over the coming weeks and months, Google will begin to say, ah, I understand the relevancy of this website to these keywords that people are searching on. And so it happens naturally and organically over time. Not over years, but certainly over weeks and months, it can happen. Also, as you make a change, if you start pivoting a little bit, the changes, while posted instantly, it'll take Google a while to understand there's a pivot going on. So you can't move quickly. There are two primary types of search engine optimization. One is called on-page SEO, and the other is called off-page SEO. And really what that means is what's on your web page and what's not on, or what's off your web page. So for on web page, this is your own content. This is the stuff that you have direct control over. You write your About Me page. You write our services page. You write all the pages on your website. Or maybe you've hired a content specialist to do that for you. But it's all within your control. And you should be able to periodically make changes to your own website. If you're not savvy enough, speak to your web programmer or someone who can do that on your behalf. And then behind the scenes, there are these things called tags. And there are other places. You and I can't see them. Your website, if you're a little comfortable making content changes on your website dashboard, the control panel, has places where you can have kind of this hidden data. You're going to fill that in with keywords that are relevant to either the page or the website. And one is called the title tag. And I found a number of people, clients of mine, who even though call their website something, this kind of hidden title tag is blank. They just don't know not to use it. Also, what is the web address of every one of your pages? Google and Bing like that the name of your web page, in this case, technology services, not only is the page name that, but the web address associated with it. So there was one client I was working with on an SEO project, and each page had a name like page 1, page 2, page 3. And this was someone who decided to build their own website. And you can with a lot of these services like Wix and Squarespace and others that do make it pretty easy for competent lay people to build their own websites. And so I said, what's on page 1? He said, well, that's our contact us page. I said, how do you know? You can't tell from the title here. Rename the page, the URL for the page to match the title. Google, and it's easy to do. They all have places to do it. Google likes that association. And then there are these other descriptions or tags that are called meta, data about data. Again, you don't see them, but Google looks for them. And it's hidden on the website. Put the keywords in there. You don't have to write grammatically correct sentences. You do have to spell check it so that the words are spelled. Don't misspell technology and services. But you don't have to write, we are the world's premier technology services company throughout the country. just put technology, services, central, New Jersey, things like that. The little smaller words you just don't need. Google doesn't care about those, but get the keywords. And then also, if you have links to other pages on your website, kind of internal cross links, that's good. Google likes that you're doing that you're referencing pages from page to page on your website. Those links have to have names. They get little what's called anchor tags. They're like go-to statements in the old programming language. Those anchor tags should also have relevant links and tags as well. So if you have a link where click here for our contact and you scroll down to the bottom of the page, and the bottom of the page has a link associated with the bottom of the page, make sure the link has a relevant name, not just, link 1, link 2. So that's among other places. And alt tags, these are very powerful. These are tags that are attached to pictures, your picture files. Some of either of you may remember that you have printed pictures, and on the back of the picture, you write something. And it might be, 2010 summer vacation at the lake, something like that. Great. Well, there's places to put that on your digital pictures as well. And that's what these alt tags are. And so you'll want to put relevant descriptions in the alt tags. The alt tags don't need to describe the picture. They need to be in line with the keywords associated with your website. So you may have, you may be, as an attorney, you may have words like litigation and employment law or business law, things like that that are relevant to you. You may have a picture of 2 people at a desk working together. The alt tag on the bottom doesn't need to be 2 people on a desk working together. It should be related to litigation or consultation, or things that are really relevant to the services that you offer. And that, again, that common story, that common theme among your web pages and your web content. Off-page SEO refers to activity by others, websites that are outside of your website. And that really gives your website credibility. It's kind of nice to say that you talk nicely about yourself and I'm good and I'm valid and I'm the expert. But if somebody else says that, it's like getting a reference. So this is kind of the digital equivalent of a reference. So it kind of, for the Google and Bings of the world, gives them an understanding of how you're perceived outside of yourself. The most important things are what's called link building. You want to be able to find ways to get links on someone else's website to your website. And when you might find a coach that you work with, you might find a business partner, a vendor, somebody in your field. Call them up and say, hey, I'll put a link to your website on mine if you put a link to my website on yours, cross links. So that's one way of doing it. Or maybe reaching out to someone who has a blog and say, hey, I've got a topic that you may like to post. Would you be interested in posting my article? And in that article, you say, for more information, click here and link to your website and draw people to yours. So you can get that cross-linking. And use your social media sites, your own social media presence, to link back to your website. And use your website to have links to the social media sites where you're active. Those cross-links are very powerful. Plus, they're within your control when it's your own pages. So things you can do to improve search engine optimization, start with the on-page SEO. It's your website, it's your web page, it's your content. Add and update the text, use keywords, add them to the images as well, any place behind the scenes. If you're not sure of how to update them behind the scenes, then what you can do is get your web programmer to do that for you. Then work on the off-page SEO. It does take a little bit more time because you may have to leverage relationships that you have outside of your own immediate web content. So you may need to contact other people and other organizations. Maybe you belong to a professional society. See if they'll put your name and website on their roster. That's an easy way to get your information on their webpage. Submit articles, submit posts, see if you can do that. Okay, another intermission point. I think this is a last intermission, and then we get into, again, an analytics, pay-per-click. I think that's what we're doing next. Questions? Was SEO confusing? Do you have a question or two about that or a comment?
Not really a question, just the image alt tags.
Yep.
All right, so if I wanted to say add a picture, I do different sessions outdoor, right? Although it may be getting a little bit chilly, but you know, I got a coat. So if sometimes I have different pictures of the landscape or whatever the case may be, hashtag outdoor, whatever. So if I wanted to add those things to my website, right? There's the process of it. I'm not going to waste your time on that one, but
So
that is kind of what that description would be of an alt tag.
yeah, again, it's kind of like writing on the back of the photograph.
Mm-hmm.
So the places you can do it, kind of two places. One is before you upload the picture, or maybe you have a separate version on your PC, you can use image editing software. And some of these image editing software, like Photoshop, have places where you can add those keywords to the picture. And what's funny is if you were someone who may have downloaded pictures from photo hosting sites, fine, you're paying for it, it's legitimate, not doing anything illegal, but they have their own keywords. So what you'll want to do is you want to get rid of, beautiful picture of the lake in exchange for outdoor counseling sessions,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And so you could use the photo editing software. The other place is a lot of times your web design tool will allow you to edit those right on your website. So it depends on which tool you use. WordPress allows for that. I believe Squarespace does, Wix does, so others. I don't remember on the GoDaddy Builder, if you're using GoDaddy's Builder for your website. If you're using WordPress hosted by GoDaddy, then the WordPress portion of it. So you're using the GoDaddy Builder?
Yes. I mean,
okay.
it's done,
yeah. Right, good. So they may have a place for it. If they don't, what you could do is, if it was your picture, edit the picture offline, upload the picture to your website, and take the old version off.
Got it.
So, you kind of copy and pasting or replacing. If you have a new version of the picture, which now has those. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've used the GoDaddy Builder, and I just don't remember one way or the other. It wouldn't surprise me that they do indeed have it, but I just don't know, sorry.
No worries. Yeah, I started off with Wix, and I just had all types of difficulties. And although my wife is on earshot, she was like, listen, do this. And I'm like, wasted a lot of time. And it ended up being a lot.
Okay. One thing nice with GoDaddy, they have terrific customer support. So
true that. Agreed.
So, if your wife is able to help you or a friend, that's fine. And GoDaddy, and I'm a tech guy, and I certainly get stumbled every once in a while. You can call up GoDaddy and say, how do you do this? And they'll say, well, we'll do it for you, and it's $100, or let me walk you through it. And that's free. And so, yeah. So if you're happy with GoDaddy's service, good.
Yeah.
They're not the least expensive, but they have good support.
They do. Agreed.
And some of the others have great products, but their support might be YouTube videos or knowledge base, and they don't have tech support. So anyway, just be aware. But good. So if it's working for you, so go back to the page or pages where you have pictures posted. See if it's either in the media library section or on the page itself, and where you can edit it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we will move along again. There we go. So let's talk about paid search. Another way to generate revenue and certainly attention, I should say, to your platforms is pay per click, or paying for the privilege of someone finding your website. And you've seen these before, even if you've never used them actively, and you'll see how. If you're on Facebook and you want to boost a post, that's pay per click. You're paying Facebook to give you a higher visibility to people searching for people like you. So basically, it's an internet marketing strategy where you pay a fee for the privilege of someone clicking on one of your ads or one of your links. That's what pay-per-click is. And you're basically paying for or buying visits to your website. If you're only using SEO, you're earning that visibility organically. But if you're using pay-per-click, you're paying for getting that visibility right up front. And so Google Ads is one of the big ones that are out there, probably the biggest. And so it's really the most popular form. Pay-per-click is one of the most popular forms of online advertising, more so than boosts and other things that you can do. Social media platforms and the internet search engines offer their own version of paid advertising in terms of ads, sponsored posts, and the like. And I'll show you some examples of this in just a moment. So it used to be called Google AdWords. Now it's Google Ads. Google Ads with any Gmail or Google account is actually 100% free, but you do pay if someone clicks, if your ad attracts someone to click to your website. And so 85.5% of internet searches were done via Google as of the end of last year. Why am I telling you that? You do need a budget for pay-per-click. And so you might start with Google Ads because 85% of the people are using Google. So don't initially invest in another platform. There's just a tremendous amount of value of considering using Google Ads. Your website is seen by the customers at the moment they are searching for you on Google. And there's a good chance you'll show up on the first page by virtue of the way you set up your ad. But if you're using SEO a bit more organically, it may take weeks or months before you begin to show up higher and higher. And you only pay if they click on your ad. So if your ad pops up, that's called an impression, where basically Google says your ad showed up. But if someone reads that ad at the top and is of interest in your website, they click, you'll pay for that click. Might be a few cents, might be $1, might be more. And Google gives you advice as to what you should charge. So you write an ad that tells people what you offer. It lets the people know what your business is about. It lets Google knows what your business is about. You'll assign keywords to that. But what's nice is with Google, you can limit your advertising audience. So again, if you are a bit of a more local business, you don't want people from Texas or California clicking on your ad because you're paying for that privilege, but the likelihood of them contacting you is very low if you're a more localized business. So there's a way you can get right down to the zip code. You could say, I just want people in 08540 and 08542. Those are the two Princeton zip codes. You can also pick metropolitan areas. You can pick counties, you can pick cities, you can pick states and get the geography bigger. You can mix and match. You could say, I want New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, if that's your area. Also, you also put only specific keywords as part of your ad. And it might be, litigation attorney, business law attorney, whatever your particular practice is, family law attorney. So that way, when someone is looking for a family law attorney, there's a better chance you get seen. You might be seen instantly. If someone is looking for, an employment law attorney, you won't be seen. If you won't be seen, they won't see your ad, they won't click, you won't pay for it. And also, you set your budget. So let's say you're limiting yourself to $10 a day of spend. That's $300 a month. So that means you can control your budget. It doesn't go on forever. If you don't set a budget, it can get quite expensive. If you don't limit your location, you may get useless clicks that won't has the opportunity to generate interest or business. So you set that daily budget. So here's an example. I put in plumber Princeton. Hopefully you can see this, not too much of an eye chart. The very first one, Horizon Services. They're one of the big heating and air conditioning contractors that are out there. They have plumbing services as well. The next one was Roto-Rooter. And see the little word to the left, ad. On Google, this is someone who posted an ad. And then the third one was Mr. Rooter. So you can see local plumbers like Jefferson Plumbing, which is on Witherspoon Street, they didn't show up. Okay? And then when you scroll down, there are a few that are not ads. 15 best plumbers in Princeton. Well, Home Advisor showed up, Yelp showed up, but not the private plumbers. So plumbers are not advertising. Local plumbers don't seem to be advertising. If they want a little bit more local business, they may want a Google ad so that they can come up with plumber's business. Remember, if they're not being found, their business may be irrelevant. And if you were shopping for a plumber, you might contact Mr. Rooter. You'll certainly look at their website before you look at a local plumber. When you compare search engine optimization to pay-per-click, there's pros and cons because they work differently, but they are both a search engine marketing strategy, but they're different types of strategies. So search engine optimization is slow to realize. It may take weeks or months for your keywords and your social media presence to augment and to give you presence on your website and your sites. It doesn't cost you anything. Of course, if you hire someone to do the work for you, you pay for that, but you're not paying any of the search engines for the privilege. But it's very durable. Once they find out about you, it holds on to you. Once you're in the Google database, once you're in the Bing database associated with your keywords, Google remembers you. You know, it's like an elephant again, it doesn't forget. Pay-per-click is fast. Once you activate your ad, it's instantly there. The keywords that people are going to use to search for someone like you, if you've matched the keywords for the geography and whatnot, your pay-per-click ad will come right up. You do have to have a budget. It can be expensive if you don't manage your budget closely, or you do have to be aware. And then it's temporary. As soon as you used up your daily budget, so if you limit to $10 a day and each click is $1, after 10 clicks, you wait until tomorrow to be seen. But on the other hand, you're not overspending your budget. And if you turn off the ad, it goes away. Pay-per-click really has a much more relevant, easier way to see what your return on investment is. You could see how much you're spending, and you could see what kind of business you're generating from it. Search engine optimization, it's harder to do because there is no direct correlation to budget. Also, pay-per-click is not affected by the search engine algorithms. So the search engines every once in a while change their algorithms. So they're going to give more preference to geography. Are they going to give more preference to keywords? Are they going to give more preference to longevity of the website? They change this all the time. Pay-per-click doesn't care about the algorithm. It just matches the keyword and shows up in that geography. That's all it does. And pay-per-click, you can better segment your audience. You can better target your audience by virtue of the way you set up the ad. So that's kind of, yep, what was that?
I'm sorry. You were saying, let me wait till you're done.
Yeah, that's fine. If the question's relevant, please.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at the pay-per-click. Say you pay for whatever, a week, 2 weeks of advertising. Once you're done with that 2 weeks, does it end up changing the search engine so that you would still, because you've driven X amount of business to your, or X amount of visitors, will that still maintain, or is it just you paid for those clicks, you got those clicks during the course of that 2 times, but then you drop right back to the bottom of the algorithm once you take that off?
So the short answer is you kind of drop back where you were.
Got it.
The long play is, especially when it's, you know, a Google ads and you're doing Google search engine optimization, Google's that elephant that doesn't forget. So Google will remember a little bit, you know, it will have a little bit of influence on Google. I just don't think it's a lot of influence, but Google will say, oh, well, when someone did a search on coaching and they went to this site, that may be important in my search engine optimization calculation later on. But when you turn off the ad, the fact that it used to be on page 1, but your organic place is page 4, right away you'll probably go back to page 4, or maybe page 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking in the realms of, would it be worth it to periodically, say every 2 months, Like for 2 months, I'm going to put something in for about a week just to kind of get into a rhythm and then drop off and, continue the whole organic process of growing naturally.
So we're not going to talk, I don't think we're talking about Google Analytics in this presentation. If not, we can talk about it. And I have another presentation where I talk more of that. But Google Analytics is another free tool that you should be able to, once you get the Google Analytics account, which is free, they give you a 6 or 8 digit code, put that in your website. The builder should have a place where you can put your Google Analytics number. And then what happens is Google can actively track and report to you where your traffic is coming from. And it will tell you it's coming from pay-per-click, from organic search, from direct typing, from other websites. It'll tell you all these different places. So Google is tracking that. And so I think it will have a little bit of an influence on search engine, as a long game, but not on the short.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Oh, so we're not specifically talking about Google Analytics here. So as we sum up, social media is using the internet to share information with other people. And it certainly includes your website. I think that's really most important. You must have a website. If you're doing e-commerce, if you're on social media platforms, if you're doing email marketing, search engine optimization, and more, it includes all these different things. Remember that spoken hub diagram with all those different channels that were there. So that was the communication channels that we mentioned a little bit earlier. And you can monitor and tweak the tool or tools that you're using so that you can demonstrate or for yourself that you are getting the best performance out of your campaign about your information, about the sites and the locations where you're promoting. And just get started with one. Remember, it's overwhelming. There's just too much stuff out there with social media. Find the one that's best for you, best for your needs, the best for the needs of your audience. Start with that one. Once you're really comfortable with it, you can move on to another. Oops. And so that's the summary. Was there a question about the pop-up? No. Okay. If you want to download the slide deck, it's there right now. This is my website, princetontechadvisors.com. There's a menu item at the top called Workshops, and then a link at the bottom, recently offered programs. All my programs for this year are listed on that recently offered programs page. And right now, that is the top program. I do several programs. I've got a few more for this year, so soon there'll be others above it. So this slide deck is there right now. Probably by tomorrow, the video presentation associated will be there. You'll see right under the link for the slide deck will be a link for the video link right there. So you're welcome to watch this again. On the slide deck, any of the links that were here on the website are active, so at least you can find those links as well. So just go again to my website, Princeton Tech Advisors, the Workshops tab, and notice the URL. It's called Workshops. So I wanted the web address of this page to match the name of the page. It's not page 1, page 2, page 3, and then go to recently offered programs. By the way, all of my workshops since about, 2013 or 14 are all posted. You can go back and look at all of them. There's versions of this one. I've done this several times. What's nice, if you look at this one, you get to listen to your own questions again, if that's important. Oh, and so that's the end. Any more questions, comments? Oh, there, my contact information. So if you want that as well, take a screenshot or a picture of that. You're welcome to call me, welcome to email me. Happy to answer any of your questions as a follow-up to this program as well.
I'm good, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and the presentation. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Nice, yeah. Carl, Michael, thank you very much for your participation. I appreciate you being a part of the Princeton Adult School and appreciate your activity on this class as well. So it was nice interactions we had.